Good morning, everyone. You're all very welcome to Underground Cinema. So, as a lot of you know, for the month of October, we have been interviewing a lot of the nominees for this year's Underground Cinema Awards, which are going to be held on the 5th of November in the Royal Marine Hotel in Dunleary, County Dublin in Ireland. And I'm delighted to say that we have with us this morning writer and producer Emma Richardson. Emma's done a fantastic film called I Live with the Devil. Good morning, Emma. How are you?
Morning. Yes, really well, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be chatting to
Emma,
you this morning.
good morning.
Morning, can you hear me? Have you got me? No, what's happened? No. Hello? Tracks. Technical failing.
Emma, I've lost you there for a second.
I didn't know what happened. I thought I was you. It was hello and freeze.
Good morning.
Apologies.
Good morning. You're very welcome, Emma. We really enjoyed your film, I Live with the Devil. It was absolutely fantastic. So we get a huge amount of films into us, for our season. So this year was just over 400, and we all watched. Some films grip us straight away. Other films, you have to take your time and get into them. But this, from the very start, had us riveted. Listen, you did a fantastic job. Well done.
Thank you. That really means the world to me. As I said, this is the first time that I'm producing, and this is the first film short that I've actually written for production. So I'm just absolutely delighted that you enjoyed it. Well, I think enjoy our film is sort of, I think it gripped you, I think, for a better one, because I don't think you can walk away going, oh, a lovely film. I feel so good about myself. That's not quite what, the intention behind the film. But yes, absolutely delighted that you've nominated us, and I can't wait to come out on the 5th of November and be with you guys there.
November, yeah, and we're looking forward to giving you a warm Irish welcome when you do get down to the hotel in Dunleary. But I'm glad that you mentioned you just mentioned the film. Could you maybe just explain a little bit about what the film is? If you can maybe give us a brief synopsis of the film.
So this is with a spoiler alert then, if I do tell you. So the film is all about a young care home worker dealing with crippling anxiety. And the title of the film, I Live with the Devil, is actually, the devil is herself. It's living with that anxiety day in, day out, and how she tries to battle through it. And sometimes the demons get in, and sometimes you can keep them out. And that's the premise of the film. And I wrote it basically in the grips of the sort of, I think, the third lockdown we were in the UK, and it was very dark. So I wrote it in November, and it was about my own experiences with anxiety, and I wanted to try and write about it. And I think that was the challenge. How do you write a feeling? It was always my thing. Like, how do you write that? And that was my biggest challenge when doing it. And how do I write it in a way that people with anxiety would recognize it? Because sometimes it can be very subtle feeling. For some people, and something can be sort of really overwhelming. And then how do you write it in a way that people that haven't had that experience will understand and not think that, they were bipolar or schizophrenic? It's very specific what I was trying to sort of channel into when I wrote the film.
Yeah, the casting process. So you cast a wonderful actress, Cassie Bradley, to play the lead role. She did an incredible job, Emma. You must have been very pleased with her.
Cassie, I mean, her performance is nothing short of phenomenal. And I'm delighted that you mentioned her, because that's been the feedback. Everyone that's watched the film is like, oh my goodness, how did she do that? And she put herself through that. I mean, she really threw herself into the role. And Claire Bleasdale did the casting for us. And I think we were watching some of the reels that came through, and everyone was like, oh my goodness, this girl or lady. We were just she blew us away in the auditions. And I think what was also remarkable about Cassie is how she could turn it on and off. So she'd go into these incredible places and really go there. And then we'd say cut. And then she'd be like, oh, anyone fancy a cup of tea? And you're like, how did you just do that? And then, she was really, and she was so amazing to work with. And there were night shoots, and we were on buses at 2 a.m. And she was just an absolute delight and a joy to work with. And her performance is exceptional.
Yeah, Emma, it's a powerhouse performance. It really is, and you're right. It's a quite a emotive performance. It's a really really difficult as an actor. You're it's a bit like sometimes you get an actor playing a role like that, or playing, say, an alcoholic. You can go over the top in a performance like that, and as an actor, you're quite conscious that, oh, am I going too much? Am I going too overboard? Am I getting this right? And I can imagine that was in Cassie's head, that she wanted to get this right, and I think she absolutely nailed it. I did a film. I produced a film a couple of years back. And it was a lead actress as well. Keelan Dunn was the name of the actress, and the film we did was called In View, and it was almost like a one-woman show. But that character was, she portrayed. She was an alcoholic, but she also suffered from depression. That actress was a theatre actress, and I noticed that theatre. If you work in the theatre, a lot of theatrical actors can delve very very deep into a character like that to get it right. And I was just wondering, has Cassie got any theatrical experience behind her, because she's just phenomenal in it.
Yes, she does. She's done quite a lot of theatre, actually, and she was up in Edinburgh at Fringe doing a play that won quite a few awards. So she's really, she has done a lot. I think she has a very strong theatre background as well as television. So yeah, well spotted that she has that background. Yes.
Yeah, and then and on top of that pressure that she has to try and get that role right, she's cast alongside Julian Glover. I mean, my goodness me! First of all, when I saw him, it's after a couple of, just as the film starts, we see Julian Glover in his bedroom where she's caring for him. I had to do a double take, because you don't often see somebody at the caliber of Julian Glover in too many short films. How did you get him on board, Emma?
Again, that's a big part down to Claire, our casting director. We were looking at, we thought it'd be quite nice to try and get, if we could, a sort of more named actor in that role, because it was a half-day shoot, and maybe. And she said, "What about Julian Glover?" And I was like, "Yes," but kind of a bit half-hearted. And she said, "Well, let's give it a go, because I know that he does really like doing projects." And we were still. I think we'd just come out of another lockdown. It was in the May, and it was just when the vaccines were rolling out. So it's quite, again, we'll have all the COVID protocols. It was quite a stressful time to film in. And I had a call with Julian, and we had this amazing Zoom chat. And he went, "Yeah, lovely little short, really well done. Yeah, I'm up for it. Let's do it." And I was like, "Whoa, I'm on a call with Julian Glover, and you're going to be up for it. And you said it was a lovely little film." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you've said," I mean, that to me, that comment has stayed with me forever. And then, yeah, he came down. And because it was low budget, he was in my living room. We used my living room as his green room dressing room, and he was in there, and we put some tea up from a very big distance, because very well concerned about social distancing. But that was just real highlight, having him on set, and him playing that role. And of course, he was completely marvelous.
He's brilliant in the role, and the chemistry between him and Cassie's fantastic. They work so well together. They really sort of magic scenes together. Fantastic. And I'll just tell you I met Julian Glover a couple of years back in Belfast, and he's such a nice man. He did The Empire Strikes Back back in 1980 with George Lucas, and I'm a member of the 501st Ireland garrison. So our garrison, they're the guys that do stormtroopers, and they do an awful lot of charity work. And Julian happened to be at a Comic-Con in Belfast, so we presented him with a special award that we created for him, made him an honorary member of the 501st garrison. So I got a great chance. I was in my Boba Fett costume, so I got a great chance to sit down. To sit down. Is such a nice man, but an incredible actor. If you look at his resume over the years, he's done some brilliant stuff. Yeah,
it's so. Yeah, what he hasn't done is amazing, and even for the younger generation. Because I was like, I recognise him from Game of Thrones, and that's sort of a lot of the young people sort of know him straight from there. And it's like, well, then go to quick on his IMDb, you'll see all sorts of other things he's done as well, not just Game of Thrones.
But isn't it great, Emma, that an actor like Julian will give back. He doesn't forget his roots. As probably a struggling actor and probably doing a lot of independent, probably a lot of stuff for free over the years. That he's a successful actor now, and he wants to give a little bit back. And we see that. We see that in Ireland as well. We've seen some great actors that will take their time out of busy schedules to do a short film to help up and coming actors. I think that's fantastic.
I think that it was just incredible that that he did that for us, and and I think that is really lovely as well, as you're saying, just to remember that everyone starts somewhere, and to help people out, and it was honestly, it was the highlight. Having him on set for that half day was just amazing, and he knows I sent him something card. I'm always grateful for you for doing that for me. So especially because he didn't know me at all. It was just the script and a hope. Yeah. So I'm always eternally grateful to him for that.
Well, that's a great point, Emma, because you're the first writer we've spoken to in an interview this month. So, and I've been speaking a lot about COVID. How difficult it has been, for a lot of us as artists over the last 2 years to be actually locked in and constrained and not be able to get out there. We're very social people as well, and to get out there and do what we do. But writers, we've seen an awful lot of stuff that has come into us over the past 2 years, especially during lockdown, where the scripts have been superb. And so the question I would have is, during lockdown, to try and turn a negative into a positive, did you find that time where we were all locked in, that you were maybe more creative, or you put more thought into you weren't racing it? You could hone the script.
Yeah, it was a really double-edged sword for me, and I think it's where I Live with the Devil actually came from because of lockdown. Was I had written a couple of projects that were really close to actually sort of moving into some development and pre-production on one of them, and I was so excited. And then COVID hit, and of course everything was just cancelled, and no one knew what was happening. So it was I felt really quite despairing because I was just on the cusp of really breaking into with some bigger projects, and I was so excited. And then I just had to go back to basics and go, right, okay, how can I pull myself out? Because I got really, really down and really upset that actually, what if it doesn't come back to normal? And it didn't. The productions then, what people are commissioning has all changed, and the landscape has changed over in these, in this COVID time, of what people want to watch. So that's where I live with the devil. I had no idea for a short film, and I said to myself, I've got to do something. I can't just homeschool my children, which was also very challenging. And I had a newborn as well. She was 8 weeks old when we went into lockdown, so it's a pretty intense time. And so I went away and I was like, right, I'm going to make a short film. I have to turn a negative into a positive. I have to turn this around. And then I wrote it. I finished it in the November, and we were shooting in the May. And I worked through lockdown to get a crew together. And everyone was just so happy to get on board with something and be constructive in creating something, even though it was something quite dark, but it came from a place of such love and compassion in the struggles I've gone through. And a lot of the crew that came on board, sort of said, well, I battled with this and I battled with that, and that's why I really wanted to be part of this. And it was actually the most incredible experience, because we formed this amazing group. There's 40 of us on the film that all came together. No one knew anyone. It was all new. I didn't know any of the cast or crew. And we're all really good friends today. We go out for dinners and we all hang out, and we're working on projects together. A lot of them have jumped onto my next project. So in terms of time to my writing, I had time to write that. I didn't have time to write much else, but I managed to hone and get it to a point that I could make it. And then I kind of have got loads of ideas. I've got this giant board of things I want to write. And I've got, as I said, another one coming up, and I'm writing a feature as well. It's just trying to find the time to do it. Actually, I found in COVID I had less time in the lockdown than the time on my hands, to be honest.
Wow, and you're right. When you surround yourself with brilliant people, the end result is going to be fantastic. Your director of photography did a great job, Carmen. She did some of her scenes, like on the bus, with Julian and Cassie. Right the way through is fantastic. Her lighting was really good. She really set the tone of the film as well. She captured it really well.
Carmen is an incredibly talented director of photography. She is what she managed to achieve as well. I think because the first day we were in 3 different locations with 3 unit moves first day, and it was quick. It was a 22-page script, 23-page script that we filmed in 5 days, and we were moving. So she didn't have huge setups. She didn't have a huge crew with her, and she's just so capable and talented and quick, and she just goes for it, and she just knows, and she's really decisive, and it's really helpful as well. Go, no, that's it, let's do this, do that, and then and she's bold and just incredible, and I cannot sing her praises enough. She actually was down in Brighton last night picking up an award for her being a DOP. Definitely one to watch, and one I want to hang on to as well. Selfishly, I want to keep her all to myself, but I really want her to go out and have this amazing career, because she's built, she deserves it. She's wonderful.
Yeah, like a director, she must have worked very well with your director, and we have to mention Mark Blackman did a wonderful job, and the DOP has to have that very special relationship with his or her director. So they've worked very well, and my hat goes off to Mark, because he handled the subject matter so well. You must be very pleased with what he did with the film. Did he? The vision that he had really must have matched the vision that you had.
Yeah, Mark was great, and he worked really closely with Carmen and Cassie, and he would come back to me and refer to me quite a lot, because he's like, and he was great. We sort of had lots of dialogue when we were shooting about the anxiety and what's it like, and how do you think that, are we going too far to, and we had this amazing dialogue that would come to me, which I was really touched about, because some directors don't want to involve you too much, and then he would also just run with it, and he went off, and again he was really and I hats off to him, what he managed to achieve as well. It was a massively ambitious film, with a crew that didn't know each other, with all of these scenes that kept moving and changing. We were inside, we were outside. He did a beautiful job, and him and Cassie worked beautifully together, and he really, again, it was he hardly had any takes, and he was so decisive. Right, yep, got it, move on. And that's what we really needed with the schedule, to be able to take and move on. And also the constraints, we filmed in a really small little terrace house, so he didn't have so many options, because of just how small the space was, and he made it just look phenomenal, and got the shots and got the different looks in all the scenes as well, which is really important, and all the using the spaces. In fact, spoiler alert, Julian's scenes actually filmed in the same house that Cassie lived in, so to our production designer, who managed to make it look like it wasn't in the same house, it was amazing too. So yeah, absolutely delighted with the job Mark did, Carmen and the crew. They were amazing.
Brilliant. And this is your first time producing, so here's a quick question for you. What did you find the most challenging part, as for a first time producer?
Paperwork. Definitely all the paperwork that goes with it. I had a wonderful producer on board with me as well, Reshma McCann, we'd also never met. Through a mutual friend, she read the script, and then we just clicked and came together, and the two of us together, pulled it together. I think trying the budget constraints, it's always quite challenging, seeing where you can save money and how you can distribute your budget. But all the paperwork, the risk assessments, the contracts, the insurance, all of that side of it, that in my head I'm like, I'm very on the creative side, and then you forget all of that side of it. And Reshma was great, just making sure that we'd also done all that side of it as well, and knowing what boxes we had to tick, because I've always just very on this is our lovely crew, and this is what it's going to look like, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is the shooting schedule, and it's like, oh yeah, and then will someone trip down the stairs? Have we written that down? Yeah.
Because you're right, as a producer, you're constantly concerned about the money, and an awful lot of people don't realize, the money goes so fast, it just disappears so fast. Even feeding the crew costs that, and you have to make sure that they're well fed. It's so expensive, so that was as a producer, it was always a big worry for me, was always the money. Are we going to run out of money?
Yeah. Definitely the money side. And sorry.
How did you finance the film?
So financing the film was a mixture of, we did a crowdfunder, which was amazing. We got some money through that. And then my dad was very sweet. He gave me a little bit of money to do it because he knew how much this meant to me and how much this project meant to me. And then I used my savings. I actually have been saving up for ages to make a project. And then I used my credit card to finish it up. So that wasn't the smartest thing to do, but it was the right thing. I wouldn't regret it for a second. So it was pretty much, I got to the point where, you know, I was applying for lots of funds and this and that and trying to get some money. And then it got to the point where it's like, I could sit around for a year and hope that, you know, I can get the money from, you know, one of the film funds that will offer support to, you know, new filmmakers, or I could just believe in myself and just put my money where my mouth was and make it. And that's why the budget was so tight, because every time I was like, and I think also it definitely focuses your mind when it's like, you've got no budget, this is going to go on your credit card, so can you afford, you know, it really, every penny then really counted. And Reshma was great as well, helping me navigate that side of it.
There is no difference between what you did in the UK and our filmmakers in Ireland. It's identical. So we would have, you know, you would have filmmakers that would be doing paperwork, trying to get the grants from we have, it's called Screen Ireland in our country, where they would be looking to see if they can get the grant or get the script across the line. And in an awful lot of cases, it can be like 1 in 100 films, you know, will get selected. And then you have the other filmmakers that say, I'm going to do this myself. So they do the crowdfunding campaigns, they get the credit cards out, they get all their friends together that work for nothing or next to nothing. And sometimes when you have to work like that, and everybody's part of a really good team, and they have faith in the project, the end result can be absolutely superb. And we've seen it. You know, you're coming over to the awards now in November, and you'll see some of the clips on the big screen when you're sitting down in your beautiful dress watching the awards take place. You'll see that an awful lot of the films up on those big screen, the budgets are next to nothing. But what these guys achieved is just incredible. And my hat goes off to you as well, Emma. You know, you're after taking on the role of a producer for the first time during the most difficult sort of time everybody's faced on the planet during lockdown, and then decide to get a crew of people that you don't know, you've never met before, to take on your script and make a film with a very little budget.
Thank you. Yeah, and I must also say a couple of other things to add. Mark also blew me away because he believes in the project so much that Mark actually put money into the project, which was amazing. Because again, I met him in the January, and he's like, "No, you know, I'm going to put some money in to try and, you know, make this." And then most of the crew pretty much did it for the love of the project. And it was interesting. The makeup artist Addie Frame, who was on it with us, she said it's funny, the projects that I basically don't really get any money out of are normally the ones that I love the most, because I've taken them on because of the project, not because of how much I'm going to get paid from it. And they're the ones, she goes, that I actually end up doing my best work on. So I think that was, again, just a really, we had such a good vibe on set. And, you know, Reshma's family were cooking these amazing meals, and they did a lot of the set catering. My friend owns a restaurant, and they were sort of chipping in, and my mum came and catered one day. And, you know, it was really all hands on deck to get it over the line, because it was so ambitious as a first project and a short film and no budget. So everyone that came on board, I can't thank them enough for making the film what it was and what it is.
Well, what they've done for you now, Emma, is they've now given you basically a calling card. You now have a fantastic short film under your belt, and if you are going to look for more funding, or you can produce this and show, this is what I can do with next to no budget. Imagine what I can do with some sort of a budget. That's what you've done.
Thank you. Well, that's the plan. So thank you. At least I'm on the right track. I'm really pleased to hear that. That's what I'm hoping for the next project to move on. Because I've got shooting one next month, which I'm super excited about. Less ambitious this time. 2-day shoot. Keep it smaller. And then hopefully onwards and upwards to more projects to come.
Is that a short film or a feature film that you're working on next?
One more, another short. Because I found this other story that I think if I don't tell, it will haunt me. I know I will regret it for always if I do not tell the story of this next short. And that's like the next one that you know, and you can already see a regret in your life if you don't do something. So I'm doing it. Come hell or high water next month.
Fantastic. Well, look, Emma, I can't wait to see your next project, to see what you're going to bring to us next. I think you're a wonderful writer and producer. You seem to work really well with your cast and your crew, which is really, really important. And listen, thanks a million for joining us this morning.
I loved being on your show, and thank you so much for having me. And I, as I said, from a place where everything was so dark during COVID, and you know, if I think for everyone in the creative industry, to feel this huge sort of ray of sunshine now, and hearing such lovely comments from you, it makes me feel really, really happy, and takes all my anxiety. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Well, look, we look forward to welcome you to Dunleary in November.
Great. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. And looking forward to meeting you in person. Thank you so much for today. I've really, really enjoyed chatting to you.
Take care, Emma.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.